Hi, it's me, MC of Healthy by George. I come to you every not Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday to talk about health and well-being as we get older. Please think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here. It's so much fun to know that we're learning together about how to stay healthier and functioning into our older years. So today, I kind of want to talk about this concept about obesity as a disease. I have a lot of feelings about this because I think unless you're someone who has gone through the experience of literally being told you're too fat to insure for health insurance, which is what happened to me back in my 20s. And it was so frustrating because all they did was take a look at me and pretty much he could have told me right away, listen, we're not going to insure you. So that was really troubling. And I think a lot of the reasons that people have so many misconceptions about being overweight is because we don't really understand it. I certainly didn't understand it when I was 10 years old. Why was I all of a sudden so big? And I think the doctors thought she somehow was overeating. And it was not just, I don't, and it was never that. I think what happened is once I was shamed and not really helped in any way with the whole helping me understand why I'm so big at 10 years old, you develop an eating disorder. So I developed an eating disorder without a doubt. It was my secret comfort. I became a big time secret eater. I would eat when people wouldn't be seeing me or watching me because I felt like I was always being watched when I ate. What is the fat girl going to eat? And so it's really very hard to overcome that as a child. You're very young and impressionable, and you feel all this shame that somehow you're causing this to yourself. And I think, truthfully, now that we know that obesity is a disease, it helps me in so many ways understand why it's been so hard for me. And truthfully, I think it's very funny. I went just recently to do one of those, what they call bioimpedance type testing from the physio lab, where they put me in this pod. And that was where we were able to see what is my muscle bone to fat ratio. And what's so funny is I'm in the ratio that's common for women, 35%. Granted, I would like to make it more muscle than fat, and I'm going to work towards that. But truthfully, in some ways, my body shape and my percentage of fat are in a normal perspective. I don't have the abdominal weight. I have what's called the pear shape, which is mainly your hips and thighs and buttocks. So, that we already know is better than just measuring somebody's weight on a scale or their BMI. All of these things are just really not as helpful, I think, as maybe doing these kind of tests called the bioimpedance analysis, where they are getting some really solid data about what's your fat to muscle ratio because it helps you understand what's going on with your body. I think also, too, understanding your resting metabolic rate, because I think some people do believe that obesity is part of a metabolic disease. And for me, I think when I was in my 50s is when suddenly a doctor said, I think maybe you have PCOS, polycystic ovarian disorder. I'd never heard of that ever in my life. And it's as she told me, she said, "Unfortunately, we can't really do hormone testing with you because your hormones are all over the place during menopause." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" This just means that sometimes when you have PCOS, it's difficult to get pregnant. You have challenges with weight and your metabolic rate, or I'm not sure. It's so many things about PCOS that's hard to understand why you just have a what we call a hormonal disruption, I think. So I understand. And I also understand too that being someone who is overweight, even though you have certain measurements that seem to be within standard processes, you still are someone who's carrying too much weight for your health, and it makes you at risk for other diseases, which is diabetes. And this is what I saw firsthand in my father. My father was in denial about his diabetes, and he just totally would not give his health any attention. And I think it is hard. I think it's hard when I know I used food as a coping mechanism. I believe my father used food as a coping mechanism, or at least sugary foods and sugary drinks. His really big downfall was Coca Cola. Ice cold Coca Cola. And it is addicting. And those little teeny bottles with all the little flakes of ice in it, almost some of it partially frozen, those would quench your thirst on a hot Georgia summer like nothing else. And it does become addictive. It's sugar and it's caffeine. Come on. Of course, that doesn't help if you already have a slow metabolism, which I do, and your body energy is not very, you don't require a whole lot of calories, is you're going to easily gain weight if you don't keep at a certain deficit. This is what I've never known, which is amazing now that I've know the physio lab. I can look at what my food is every day and know what deficit I need to be in because I already understand my basic level is 1,430 calories. So if I'm not doing a combination of exercise and reducing my calorie intake, like I could never eat 1,800 calories. That would be, are you kidding me? No, I always have to stay between 15 and 1,600 calories because really to exercise every day, you're lucky if you can burn 100 calories or 200 calories in a workout session. So it's not reasonable to expect just being someone who works out all the time is going to really give you the weight loss. Plus, I think the other thing is I'm on a GLP-1 drug. So it helps also too with that feeling. I feel fuller sooner. I'm more aware of being satisfied from my hunger and with my food than I ever have in my life. So I'm starting to understand more. I think it's still very much each person's own journey because we don't understand the complete picture of obesity. We don't know about the issues of hunger and satiety, feeling satisfied. And how does our social culture play into that? It's a challenge, I think. And until we really start embracing this issue that people can be obese and it's a disease that we have to help people with, not verbally or society punishing people who happen to be overweight. So it really is a challenging situation. And I still can't let go of sometimes, even though I've lost 40, 50 pounds, close to 50 pounds in the past year and a half, it's still not easy for me to let go of the thinking, oh, I'm the biggest girl in the room, or I'm the heaviest person in the room, or just that kind of negative thought process that I lived with for so many years is that I'm not the person of any value, which I think is hard when you're someone who's overweight and people have never really given you a whole lot of attention because of your looks or your figure or whatever, because you were overweight. I feel like some of it's driven so much by society, and some of it's just driven by this miscommunicated health message. I think there is a way to be healthier and not be so fixated on the number on the scale. And I'm learning this. I'm so learning this like I've never learned anything before. And I feel for the first time in so long that I have doctors who truly are listening to me and understanding the challenge of someone who's been heavy all their lives and suddenly have been able to lose weight just because it's never happened before, even though I was doing everything I could, measuring food that I ate, tracking the movement, my sleep. And I just would get to a certain point and it wouldn't budge. But now with the GLP-1 drugs, guess what? I'm being successful. Now, granted, I'm at a plateau right now and I would like to lose another 10 or 15 pounds. I'm going to increase the dose, which is not easy. And because I am concerned about side effects, I'm going to increase the dose. I would like to lose some weight before I have to have this hip replacement surgery. We'll talk about that another time. But it's all about balance. I'm still very successful with the large weight loss I've had over the year and a half, and I'm maintaining it. And I'm going to work very diligently to go slowly to move through the next 10 to 15 pounds I'd like to lose. Be well, my friends. We have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest and well into our older years, moving and functioning as well as we are right now with our brain and our bodies. Check me out every Thursday and Sunday, and please think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here. Bye-bye.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.